Hi, this is Jeff White, and I would say I'm offended, not a little offended. In fact, I'm a lot offended. I'm very offended by this prayer against the war, with its assumptions and its accusations interlaced throughout. I doubt its sincerity, frankly. I think it's out of step with any reasonable understanding of the Bible. In other words, I wonder what God the prayer is delivered to. And I would point out the following contradictions between the prayer and what we learn in the Bible about the nature of the true, just, and holy God to whom I pray. I would say that there is no possibility of peace when injustice rules. I would also say that the United States as a nation went to war, overwhelmingly choosing to do so through the representative government, which is an arm of the sovereign people. And so whereas the activist call to arms at the end is in fact correct in terms of the mechanism, the people should hold their government responsible and accountable and demand that it do certain things. That mechanism was in place when we went to war, and when the United States, through its elected representatives, decided to send soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines to liberate Iraq from the most brutal mass murder of that region's history. We cited as our justification weapons of mass destruction, which it's clear beyond any reasonable doubt that Saddam Hussein was pursuing and in fact possessed. He used them to kill almost 500,000 of his own people. And speaking of numbers, by the way, the 600 and some odd thousand Iraqis who supposedly have died based on U.S. action is not gained by any reliable source, and is well off the mark. I would say orders of magnitude off the mark in terms of the numbers of people that have been killed by American action. Our weapons aren't the sort of blunt and inaccurate and out of control sorts of things that the people writing this video clearly think that they are. That's not true. Moreover, the vast majority of civilians in this conflict have been killed by those trying to destroy the current government, which is a democratically elected republic in Iraq, the first in 50 years. So I take great offense at the suggestion that American soldiers are involved in an unjust war. They are not. They oppose absolutely evil people. We don't oppose the people of Iraq. And although both they and we would love for the war to be over and would love to be home with our families, not worrying about Iraq, the fact is that we don't have that option right now unless we surrender to murderers and tyrants and destroyers. There is no sense in opposing a war which is merely an action to police and to secure the population from murderers. Our army does not stomp into homes in the middle of the night as politicians have suggested. We don't wantonly destroy civilian life or property. That's just not at all what's happening. And if you've been led to believe that that's what's happening, then you've listened to a lie. Corporate media is about power. It's about getting people in power who have means to buy it. Right now, over and over again, you hear the same message from many self-serving politicians, I must say, who don't appear to think that there's any reason that America should stay in Iraq. The price that we have paid, more than 3,000 lives, to free 27 million people from a brutal dictator and to launch them on a path of democracy and freedom. The day of combat, the very first that we spent in France on June 6th, 1944. In fact, it's only 3/4 of the price that we paid. This 4-year price in lives, only 3/4 the price we paid for the down payment, the one day, June 6, 1944. Certainly you believe that the people of Iraq are as worthy as the people of France to be free. I do. I will stake my life on it. I think that it's worth my life and many more. And I absolutely plead innocent to the war crimes that are insinuated by this horrible video. And I don't support it, and I don't think any true Christian could. Luke chapter 22 and verse 35 and 36. Jesus Christ admonished his disciples that if they had none, to sell their garments and to buy swords. I don't believe the Lord wanted us to engage in shish kebab. I don't think that the Lord was into fencing. I believe that the Lord Jesus Christ understood, as you know, that there is a time for war, as proclaimed in Ecclesiastes. And the time for war is when we oppose tyrants. And Saddam Hussein was a bloodthirsty and a murderous tyrant, bent on destruction, seeking weapons of mass destruction greater than he had, having used them on almost 500,000 of his own people, worthy of opposition. And the government today and the people of Iraq today are worthy of our continued protection and assistance. And to abandon them would be unconscionable, unchristian, and wrong. Please rethink what you think about the war in Iraq. Good men die daily. for a just cause. And they deserve your wholehearted support, that we would triumph over the evil people that teach children to cut off the heads of their political and religious opponents. Thank you.